Alright, hello everyone. Today is gonna be a very special video. I think Paulo, or like maybe some other people as well, made a list of like top 10 players of all time. And because everyone likes the these top 10s of basically anything, I thought that I would do one as well. I'm not gonna do top 10 of all the players that there are, because there are just like too many videos of that already, and I think it's kind of boring. What I'm gonna do instead is that I'm gonna do top 7. I chose 7 because I'm just gonna say later. Top 7 of Czech players, because I'm Czech, and Czech people are actually doing really well in MPL and Rivals right now. We have a lot of players there, and given how many people we have only 10 million people in my country. We've been always kind of strong in nhjiik. There are like a couple of reasons for that. Well, I think there are actually 2 reasons for that. One reason is that there is Martin Juza. So we growing up, we have this like role player of someone who just go to all these places, is famous and is like winning and stuff. So that helps a lot. I think if he didn't exist, a lot of people, including probably myself, would maybe try as hard. And the second reason is that the average salary in Czech is actually really low. So like if you can become a pro, like a platinum pro or something, or get like a sponsorship from abroad, the money is actually like pretty good. It's not like insane or anything, but you get to travel to a lot of places that you wouldn't be able to travel to under normal circumstances, and you can get paid like pretty well for just like doing something that you love, which I think is pretty good. Like if you live in like States or Japan, you probably even if you're like a pro, you have to work, unless you're like maybe like really one of the best. But in Czech, if you like spike a GP or something, you can like very easily live off of it for like some couple of months or something. So I think there's like a higher incentive for us to maybe try and do well. The reason why I'm gonna make top 7, I'm gonna explain. So like there are like a lot of people that might even be better than some people on this list. Not necessarily, but like there are just like a lot of people that come into my mind that could potentially be on the list. But today I'm just going to talk about like pros. People who have been able to achieve like a pro status for several years. There is like a lot of people who like top 8 at a GP, or maybe even top 8 at a pro tour, or even like became a pro player for like 1 year. Like for example, we have like nhjiik. You probably don't know him, but he like top 8 at a PT back in the day. I think he became pro for like 1 year or 2. Or there's like Michal Hebke, who was second at the pro tour, but they like never really like I just don't think that they're like on a actual pro level, right? You know what I mean? Like they just like spike the tournament, and with the way the magic system works is that they just like were able to get so many points from that they just like stayed on the tour for like 1 year or 2. But I don't necessarily think that those people were ever on like the actual like had a skill of an actual professional player. So I'm just not really gonna talk about them. There are also like a couple people that I think might be on that level, but like people who are watching this would just like have no idea who they are because they never really spiked anything. So I'm not really gonna talk about them either. I'm just gonna focus on people that you like I consider to be actual pros, and also you might know. So also like all of this is just like my subjective opinion. So if you don't like anything, or you just don't you think that someone should be on the list, or that the order is wrong or whatever, well, I mean, that sucks for you. Like I get to decide. It's my video. So let's get into it. Number 1, this is gonna surprise a lot of people. I actually have Stanislav and not Martin Juza, which I think that most people would like just assume that Martin is first. And if you look at the stats, that's obviously true. But you have to like, this video isn't about like necessarily persistence or stats or anything like that. It's just about who I think is better. Obviously that's hard to judge, because like obviously, even though I think that Stan is a lot better than me, if Stan didn't play Magic at all for like half a year, like I would play 10 hours a day, I would obviously be better because Magic is so contextual. So like obviously there are times when like one player is better than the other or whatever. But I just think that overall Stan is the best. Like he's able to just like sit in front of a computer for like 12 hours a day and just like figure out everything. He understands the game super well, and he's like building all these great decks. So even though he doesn't actually have that many great results, I think he has like 3 like they call it top finishes right now and 3 GP top 8s. He also, like, because of him, people like Andrei Stratsky or like well, in Czech we call him Jacob Todd, that's in Rivals right now, or even like Ivan Floch, would maybe not have as many good results as they have because he just like, you know, gave them a good deck and like a good cyber guide and stuff like that. And I just think he's like insanely good. Like he understands the game on a level that I don't think that anyone else on this list is able to understand it. Like a lot of the time, like he just makes some like completely ridiculous thing or like a ridiculous pick, and like no one is able to understand it, right? Like on the first glance, that's just like super wrong. But then you like talk to him about it, and you know he like tells you, well, I'm really like sure about it, but he tells you like reasons why he did it, and it doesn't really matter in the end whether the decision was right or wrong, but he just like was able to like see reasons or like stuff that no one else was able to see. Also, the reasons why he doesn't have so many good results is that he wasn't actually an active pro for that long of a time. He was focusing on other things like poker, Hearthstone, chess, streaming, and stuff like that. And he was also super successful at all of these things. So yeah, I just think that all things considered, he is the best. Like even right now he's in Rivals. I think he's on the top, and you know he's working. He's probably not playing Magic full time right now. But if I from the Czech people, if I had to choose one person that I want to play against the least, it would be Stan. So that says a lot. Coming up on the second place, I already mentioned it a little bit. It's Martin Juza. You know, hard to argue. I think he has like 32 GP top 8s with 5 wins. That might even be the most GP top 8s out of all of the people. Maybe Shuhei or like Raf Levy or someone is close, but he's definitely up there. Martin, it's kind of tough to like judge on how good Martin is because a lot of the time he doesn't really want to put in the work and he doesn't prepare as much, and he's also like not that great with like these I don't necessarily want to say that he doesn't understand them or whatever, but like when you play a mid-range or control deck, there are just like these small nuances or things that he often like doesn't really want to think about, or he just like doesn't do them well, which makes me think that maybe he like isn't that good. But he has all these insane results, and you know, I just think his biggest strength is obviously limited and playing aggro decks. Like, I played some team tournaments with him, and when you like talk to him about what card you should play or sideboard or whatever, he just like instantly knows. And like, you know, if I played a set for like 8 hours a day for like 2 months, maybe I would be able to get to that point where I would be like, oh yeah, because of this and this makes sense to take, or you should play this. But all of these things are just like obvious to him. Like, it's just insane to me that he just like gets it. He just gets Magic. Like I don't know. He's also an insane drafter. He always drafts aggro. So sometimes there is I mean, not always, but he has a huge preference for aggro. And sometimes there's a set where aggro isn't that good, and then he maybe doesn't do as well. But I don't know. Like I never met anyone that like I tested with a lot of people. Like I tested with it was, I don't even know what was the name of the team, but it was like Paolo, you know, Sigi, and this kind of team. I tested with Brad, I tested with the Japanese people, I tested with like MTG Mincard. I besides Pantheon, I tested with almost everyone, and none of those people were as good at drafting aggro as Martin is. He's just like so good at it. He knows exactly what cards you like should have in the deck and which you should take. And I think that's just like very underestimated and underrated. Like, you maybe watch him play, and you're like, well, he doesn't do anything special. He just like plays all these cards and kills his opponents, you know. That's like super easy, but you just wouldn't be able to get the deck that he did. So also, it's just hard to argue with the results. Even at the Pro Tour level, he currently has like 4 Pro Tour top 8s or something, so he's definitely, you know, probably one of the best players. You know, I think he has his weaknesses, but overall he's obviously very good. So on the third place, this is gonna hurt, but on the third place we have Ondřej. Well, in Czech we call it Ondřej Stráský. In English it's Ondřej Stráský or whatever you wanna say. You know, at the beginning, I wasn't convinced that Ondřej was so good because he's just like not as good at technical play, which is something that, you know, it's like one of my strengths. So I obviously like saw all these like small mistakes that he does, and I was like, oh, he might not be that good. I'm not making these mistakes, right? But when it comes down to Magic, it's like usually not about these like small mistakes. Like obviously when you watch like someone play and they do something that's like obviously wrong, that's like easy to spot, you're like, oh, he made a mistake, right? Because like it's just obvious that he shouldn't lose that one life or something like that, right? But the impact of that mistake on the game is actually not like that high. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is like knowing what's important, which cards you should be playing around, like, you know, knowing your overall game plan, just like understanding what's important and stuff like that. And you know, when you watch someone play, you usually don't think about it that much because you're not into much yourself, right? So like when the guy has the decision between playing a Tarmogoyf or Dark Confidant, no matter which one of those two he plays, you just like assume that he's like gonna right, and you don't really think about it that much, right? But like one of them was wrong. But if you were sitting there, you wouldn't know necessarily which one is right to play, and you would maybe make a mistake, right? And Ondřej is just like, I don't know how, but he's just like really good at like understanding these. He just gets Magic, like he just knows intuitively he just knows which card is better to play, what's like important, which cards are like good. Like when a new set comes out, it's often not obvious to me which cards are good immediately, but he just like kinda knows. But he's you know, obviously he can like make like stupid mistakes and stuff like that, so you know, sometimes he can throw away a game or something, but I think overall he's really good, and he's like still really young, so if he like keeps trying, he might become the best. Like I think he has the most talent out of these people. So in the fourth place, I actually think it's super close with me, but I just know that I would like get so much hate if I put myself over Lucas that I'm just putting Lucas above myself. So in the fourth place we have Lukas Blohon. Obviously, you know, if you were following competitive Magic like a couple of years back, you know Lucas. He even won a Pro Tour. I think he won 2 GPs as well. And yeah, like Lucas is not really playing anymore. Maybe he's like playing Arena or like, you know, Commander for fun here and there, but he's not like trying to win anymore. But Lucas's biggest strength is that he just like played all the fucking time. So his strength is that he just like chose a deck and he mastered it. He like knew exactly how to board against every deck. He just had plan for everything, and his technical play is like, I think, the best on the list. Like, you know, so we're talking about like maybe Stan or Ondřej doing like these stupid mistakes here and there. Lucas never made them. The problem with Lucas is that, you know, I don't want to be mean or anything, but his like intuitive, like the talent, understanding of the game isn't as high. So as I was saying before, he might not necessarily know which card is better to take during the draft because he just doesn't necessarily like intuitively get it. But he's super good at like just grinding things out and learning everything and just like not making any stupid mistakes. Like Lucas is never gonna miss that you know, it's better to play the land first and tap like these lands to like present something, or just like he's not gonna miss a damage. He's not gonna forget to activate his Planeswalker. Like these things just doesn't happen to Lucas. He's really good at just like his A game. It might be the best on the list. It's just that he can get only to a certain point, and you know, if Ondřej plays really well, they're just gonna play better because they just like their bar is higher. But obviously Lucas is still really good, and he deserves a place on this list. So in the fifth place, we have myself. I'm actually thinking I'm very similar to Lucas. I don't get intuitively Magic as much, but I'm able to grind Infinite because I just really like to play Magic. And I actually think I have a really good memory as well. So if I have enough time to practice and just like learn all the patterns and just like, you know, get over the non-intuitive things, I can be like really good. But the problem with that is that, you know, for example, back in the day, the Pro Tour was 2 weeks after the new set was released. So like you play with new cards, new interactions and stuff, and like 2 weeks just wasn't enough for me to get enough reps in, and I was just like kind of playing badly. Like it's just not intuitive to me that, you know, this archetype in this draft format is just better, and because of that you should be like forcing this color, or like I just need more time. But I was able to do really well in the Grand Prix scene. I won 4 GPs, and I think the reason for that was that if I have enough time and the metagame is kind of stable, and I, you know, have like a month to just master certain deck, might be even the best player at the GP, because I just gonna sit, play everything, know everything, like, you know, I'm just not gonna make that many mistakes. Like I don't know what to say, but obviously that's not like enough to succeed at the highest level. You usually have to, you know, be able to get to that level in like a shorter period of time, and everyone is practicing for these Pro Tour level events, whereas at GPs people maybe not care as much. Obviously, as I'm getting older, my understanding of Magic is like improving, so maybe eventually I will be able to get to that point. But I think that is the reason why I didn't do as well at the Pro Tours. I have like 2 top 16s, but no top 8s, so there's that. 6th place, we're getting to a point where you might not know these people. The 6th place I have Lucas, in English we would say Koski. He's not really playing anymore. He has like a top 8 at Worlds and like 3 GP top 8s or something. But he was like a limited master. I don't think I ever beated him in limited. His problem was that he just didn't want to play. He just didn't want to practice, especially if it wasn't fun for him. And he just like loved drafting so much that he wasn't playing constructed at all. And obviously you cannot really win at Pro Tour if you don't like practice enough. It's just not really possible. But his like understanding of the game and the way he drafted and like played limited in general was like insane. He even was really good at like bluffing and stuff like that. He taught me a lot of like tips and tricks. Like for example, you have 2 remaining cards in your hand. They're just like, you know, and they're just like both lands, and you're like flooding so much already, and you just like put both cards on the table, and you like look at one, you put it back, and you put the other one as a land. So the way you did it, it seems like the first card isn't a land, right? Because you just like have both of those cards on the table, and you like look at the first one, and like if it was a land, it wouldn't really matter. You would just put it into play, but it would just put it back, and you make the second one as a land drop. So that kind of, you know, might indicate that the other card isn't a land, because otherwise it would just play it. It wouldn't matter, right? And a lot of stuff like that. He like tricked me many times. Like he beat me in games that I just like, I don't think that anyone else would beat me in those games, because he just like kind of tricked me into thinking that he has something. I'm not sure if he was able to do these things at a professional level as well, because obviously, you know, we were like kind of friends and hanging out, so he could just like trash talk and like, you know, make me think that he has certain stuff, but maybe he wasn't able to like, you know, pull these things off against like unknown opponents or whatever. But I just think he deserves the place on the list. So the 7th person, you'll probably know, and a lot of people were surprised that I chose this one, because, you know, for example, we have Jacob Todd, who's currently in Rivals. There is like Petr Nahodil, who won 3 Czech Nationals. Dominik Prošek played many GPs, Martin Hrice, PTs, Martin Hrice as well. Jan Xander has a Pro Tour top 8, Arnold Židek has a Pro Tour top 8, or Andrej Baudiš was kind of a pro back in the day. We even have a world champion in Jakub Schlemmer back in the day, but I just don't really think that any of these people are necessarily on like the actual professional player level, but this person I think he is. So the 7th person that I chose is Adam Koska, actually. Many people might get surprised, but I think he played like 9 or 10 Pro Tours, and he has like 2 top 16s. And I just think that he's really good, and he understands the game really well. But he never really like tried. Like he probably played a lot, like otherwise he wouldn't be able to get as good. But I don't think he ever really like went all in, or like, you know, Magic wasn't like really something that he wanted to succeed at. But even now, like when you go to PTQ, he's like always in the top 8, and like he just understands. Like even when I was like a platinum level pro, a lot of the times I was like, Adam, you made a mistake, and he like explained to me why that wasn't the case, and I was like, oh, you know, he just understands the game really well. He has pretty good results, and yeah, I just think that he is or was at a level of a professional, even if he didn't necessarily had the points that you needed because he just didn't maybe play enough events or whatever. That's gonna be all for this video. If you like it, please click on the like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think. And yeah, just keep in mind that, you know, I'm from Czech, so I was like hanging out with all of these people since I was a kid. So I think, you know, I have a pretty good understanding of how good they are, but obviously it's just my subjective opinion. Like I don't really know 100%, so, you know, don't judge me for my list. And see you next time. Bye.